This is what they were running out there.
Vice President Harris came and visited my restaurant.
It's been a few months since the DNC lost the election to Donald Trump, and Jon Stewart still isn't letting up on his criticism.
Come on, the big movers and shakers of the Democratic Party must know her well.
She worked at McDonald's, and she greeted every person with that 1,000-watt smile and said, "How can I help you?"
Recently, he unleashed a blistering attack on the DNC not just for backing the wrong candidate, but for the tone-deaf, arrogant way they tried to sell that failure to the public. It was pure fire. If you're into raw, unfiltered political takedowns, hit that subscribe button because this ride is just getting started.
Of course, an important part of tonight was familiarizing people with the Democratic nominee's biography, a hallowed walk through the trials and tribulations that formed the ethos and spirit of the Democratic nominee.
Stewart's first target was the way the DNC tried to package Kamala Harris to the American people. She was the sitting vice president. She should have had a solid record to run on. But instead, what they offered as her biography was embarrassingly hollow.
Up until tonight, they didn't have a lot. Thin on the anecdotes, quite frankly.
No major accomplishments. No standout moments of leadership. It's just an empty resume dressed up in identity politics. And honestly, it begs the question, what exactly was she doing during her 4 years as vice president? She had the platform, the power, and the spotlight, yet made no meaningful impact. So when it came time to present her to voters, the party was at a loss, and this is what they came up with.
The irony? Runza never quite made it to the national stage, probably because, let's face it,
What they were running out there.
Vice President Harris came and visited my restaurant.
No defining policies, no decisive actions. No moments where she stepped up during a crisis with strength or clarity. Just carefully scripted speeches, awkward interviews, and disappearing acts whenever things got tough. It felt less like she was serving in a real leadership role and more like she was just filling a seat. And now, they expect voters to believe she was ready for the top job? Please. Stewart didn't hold back. He tore into the DNC for trying to rebrand mediocrity as greatness and assuming voters would blindly go along with it. It was harsh, it was honest, and honestly, it was long overdue. Watch this.
You know, I know you only had 4 weeks to put this movie together, but come on. You got to do better than... I was working and she walked in. I drove her in an Uber.
So it's pretty clear why Kamala and the DNC lost the election. Couldn't point to a single concrete achievement to justify asking for our vote. Not one. And when challenged, their excuse was laughable. They claimed they only had 4 weeks to make their case. But let's be honest, if real leadership existed, 4 weeks would have been more than enough to show it. The reality? They had for years, not for weeks. For years to build a legacy, shape a narrative, and earn the public's trust. Instead, they coasted on vibes, slogans, and the hope that identity politics alone would seal the deal. It didn't. And you'd think the party insiders could at least name her key accomplishments. Turns out, even that's a stretch. Ask ChatGPT.
Come on, the big movers and shakers of the Democratic Party must know her well.
She worked at McDonald's, and she greeted every person with that 1,000-watt smile and said, "How can I help you?"
This wasn't just disappointing. It was a textbook case of how hypocrisy and performative politics can lead you straight off a cliff. The DNC wasn't under any real obligation to choose a black female VP to balance out a white male president. But in a rush to appease the woke crowd, they didn't pick a proven leader, they picked a token. Kamala Harris was relatively unknown, untested, and unimpressive. She didn't earn her spot on the ticket, she was selected for optics. No groundswell of grassroots support, no strong track record, just identity politics front and center. The result? A complete disaster for the DNC. Jon Stewart, he shredded them, absolutely tore through the party's strategy like a hot knife through butter. Asked ChatGPT.
I think you have to say that when you work at McDonald's, or really any point of service occupation. How can I help you?
Stewart is absolutely roasting the DNC here, and honestly, he's right. In politics, just like in business, the basic rule is simple. Show up, listen to your audience, and deliver what they actually want. But instead, the DNC tried to shove a product down voters' throats that no one asked for. Kamala Harris's time as vice president felt like someone clocking in at McDonald's and just sticking to the employee. Handbook, no bold moves, no fresh ideas, nothing that remotely resembled true leadership. She didn't go the extra mile, didn't redefine the role, didn't leave any lasting mark. Yet somehow, the DNC acted like simply showing up for the job was enough to earn a promotion to the presidency. Sorry, but voters aren't that easy. To fool, you want the top job? Prove you've earned it. Here's another clip of the DNC trying to sell Kamala Harris to the public.
My phone rings. It's Kamala Harris. She called me.
My phone rang again, and it was Vice President Kamala Harris.
If you're lucky enough to be her friend, she calls you on her birthday.
Wait, hold up. She calls you on her birthday. To do what exactly? Last I checked, it's tradition for us to call the birthday person to wish them well, not the other way around. Why is Kamala Harris making calls like she's the one celebrating you? It's weird. Straight up bizarre. But at this point, it's not even shocking anymore. That one moment perfectly captures the Democratic Party in a nutshell. Awkward optics. Flipped traditions and policies so out of touch they feel like satire. It's like they're constantly trying to reinvent politics, but somehow their version of the wheel doesn't even roll. From strange public gestures to completely backward messaging, they've turned politics into some kind of cringe-filled performance nobody asked for. And Jon Stewart? He wasn't having it. He tore into the absurdity without holding back.
She calls you on her birthday? That is very
Personally, I think it might have just been a slip of the tongue. Maybe she misread the teleprompter or stumbled over her words. But with these folks, you never really know. They'll say just about anything if they think it might score a few extra votes. Truth, spin, or straight-up fiction, it's all fair game in their playbook. And sometimes, the line between an honest mistake and calculated manipulation gets so blurry. You can't tell if it was an accident or part of the script. All along. Either way, Jon Stewart wasn't the only one who ripped into the DNC for their sloppy, tone-deaf messaging.
Yeah, let's go Democrats! You know, the dumber your hat, the more energy you always have.
Michael Costa delivered a sharp jab at the DNC's chaotic and tone-deaf prep for last year's convention. Honestly, he nailed it.
Okay, this
It's
lineup was
fascinating, really.
mouthwater.
Instead of using that moment to craft a strong message or showcase their candidates' strengths, they wasted their energy making noise, empty slogans, awkward theatrics, and gimmicks that fell flat. They treated the convention like a stage show instead of a serious political event. No clear vision, no real substance. It's just one distraction after another. Ask ChatGPT.
New this morning, we are learning how each night of the convention will highlight her vision for the country. Tomorrow's opening night's theme, For the People. Tuesday will outline Democrats' bold vision for America's future. Wednesday, they're calling a fight for our freedom.
It's no surprise voters checked out when style takes priority over strategy. You're bound to lose both the message and the election. Let's be real. Half of their so-called strategy looked more like a quest for TikTok clout and celebrity cameos than any serious attempt to address real issues. That's not outreach, it's political cosplay. Anyway, here's a look at what the DNC rolled out for their rally last year.
No one ever puts on a donkey hat and is like, you know what, let's stay in tonight. But of course Democrats are excited because this is a chance for them to lay out their specific vision each night, and let's hear what you got.
The lineup looked incredible, like the DNC was gearing up for a powerful, electrifying convention that would unveil a bold strategy to hold on to power and actually make life better for everyday Americans. Expectations were sky high. People were hoping for compelling speeches, real solutions, and a clear, actionable path forward. But what did we get instead? A circus of virtue signaling, vague platitudes, and hollow performances that barely even touched the surface of the real issues voters care about, asked ChatGPT.
Bold policy move by the Democrats. Tuesday is for the future, and Thursday is also for the future. How do you have themes that are so vague and then still run of ideas by Thursday?
EP, that's the DNC for use tile over substance every single time. Instead of delivering anything concrete, they hide behind layers of theatrics, covering up an empty core. The rally didn't feel like a political convention, it felt like a badly produced variety show, complete with forced applause and cringeworthy messaging. They had everything: the stage, the spotlight, the moment. Rather than using it to lead, inspire, or present real solutions, they wasted it trying to look polished. Optics took center stage. Combs didn't even make the script, and voters, they saw right through the act.
Democrats also released a very detailed party platform, and you can tell how much time and energy they put into it because they forgot to replace Joe Biden's name with Kamala's. Yeah, and that's not just lazy, guys, it's risky.
The DNC isn't just all show with no substance. They're lazy, disorganized, and frankly careless. It's not only the hollow messaging that's the problem, it's the small, glaring oversights that reveal everything. Take something as basic as updating official platforms, removing Joe Biden's name and replacing it with Kamala Harris. That's not some harmless slip-up. That's political malpractice. It shows a stunning lack of preparedness and zero attention to detail. If they can't even manage their own branding, how can anyone trust them to run the country?
Rumors are swirling, big time. Everybody's talking about it, that two of the biggest names in music, Beyonce, Taylor Swift, might make appearances.
Holy shit, did you hear that? A completely unsubstantiated rumor about Taylor Swift and Beyonce.
Sadly, the mainstream media weren't just passive observers. They were active players in the charade. Instead of holding the DNC accountable, they joined the act, parroting talking points and helping sell a polished illusion to the public. There were no tough questions, no real scrutiny, just echo chambers of empty rhetoric. They didn't challenge the inconsistencies or demand answers. Instead, they helped blur the truth, mislead voters, and protect the narrative. Took a backseat to narrative control. Facts were filtered, criticism silenced, and inconvenient truths quietly swept under the rug. The media stopped acting as a watchdog and instead became an extension of the campaign. In doing so, they betrayed the trust that makes their role in a democracy so critical. This wasn't just media bias, it was complicity. In the end, the DNC's failure wasn't just about weak strategy. It was about arrogance, laziness, and prioritizing image over impact. With a hollow candidate, a tone-deaf message, and a media more focused on spin than truth, they underestimated the people and paid the price. When you replace substance with style, the result is what we all saw: a brutal, avoidable defeat. If you found this video insightful, hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.